So I stumbled upon this amazing document called the Day 84 Notebook. And, it's this beautiful collection of ideas about how to deal with life's biggest challenges. It honestly felt like finding a map. So I thought we could walk through it together and see what we can learn. The whole journey starts with this really fundamental truth from Siddhartha. And I know, it sounds a little heavy, right? But it's not meant to be a downer. It's the starting block. It's the core problem we all have to deal with. And everything else we're about to look at is a way to handle it. And this is what it really means for us, doesn't it? I mean, how many of us secretly believe that if we just love someone enough or plan everything out perfectly, we can protect them from all the bad stuff? Well, this notebook is pretty direct about it. That fantasy has got to go. Okay, so if we can't stop the storm, the question totally changes. It's no longer about building higher walls around ourselves. It's about becoming better sailors. The real question, the much more powerful question, becomes how do we live inside the storm? And that leads us to our first huge idea. If we can't actually control what happens out there in the world, then where does our power even come from? What's our leverage? What's so cool about this is how it pulls from three totally different places. You've got Siddhartha, who says, hey, suffering is just the basic condition of being alive. Then you have the physicist Richard Feynman, who says the curriculum is learning how to respond to things. And finally, the Bhagavad Gita tells us the instrument we use is the mind. Put them all together and you get one incredibly powerful argument. And that's it right there. That is your only true power. It's not about controlling what happens to you, but about taking total ownership of how you experience it. That's where everything begins. All right, let's move on to our next tool, and you'll see how this builds. We've talked about our inner response. Now let's get into our intellectual openness. This story is just a brilliant way to explain it. Okay, so late in his life, Mozart, a true master, hears the music of Bach for the first time, and it was completely different from his own stuff. Now, the ego's response, it's to get defensive, right? To dismiss it. But Mozart did the exact opposite. He opened himself up, he studied it for a whole year, and he absorbed it into his own work, which made him even greater. And you know what? There's actually a name for the superpower. Negative capability. It's that incredibly hard-to-find skill of hearing a challenging new idea and just sitting with it. Not immediately fighting it, not judging it, just letting it in. I know I struggle with this all the time. And this is exactly why it's so important. As Robert Greene says here, certainty is a disease. The second we think we know everything, the second we shut down, that's when our growth just stops. Mozart's real power came from his refusal to let his mind get old and rigid. Okay, so we've got our inner response and our intellectual openness. Now let's dive into a bit of a paradox. This idea that real, true freedom is actually found inside of constraints. I love how practical this gets. The notebook pulls from three totally different experts. You have the weightlifter Tommy Kono, who shows that to have power, you need a stable anchor. Then Napoleon Hill teaches that you don't just break bad habits, you have to build better ones to replace them. And finally, Simon Sinek reminds us it's all about those small, consistent steps. You see the pattern, right? Real freedom comes from working with a structure, not just trying to escape it. So the big takeaway here is this. Freedom isn't just about breaking free from something. It's about building something better to take its place. It's a full-on construction project, not just an escape plan. And now we get to the real emotional heart of this whole thing. Why does all this inner work, the discipline, the openness, the structure, why does it even matter? Well, it matters for how we show up for other people. It's just heartbreaking. A 12-year-old Winston Churchill writing a letter to his father, who was always gone. And listen to what he says. He's not just disappointed. He's already making excuses for the person who's letting him down. And this, right here, is what the notebook points to as the real tragedy. It's the kid learning this devastating lesson that he isn't a priority. And he learns it so well that he starts to justify it himself. Wow. This just cuts right through all of our own excuses, doesn't it? Our busy season, our deadlines, our stress. At the end of the day, the people who love us, especially our kids, they have one really simple question. Were you there? And this just nails the bottom line. Time for the people who matter isn't something you find hiding in a gap in your schedule. It's something you have to actively create. You make it. It's our most important job. So after all of that intensity, the notebook brings us back with a simple human question.
and it acts like a hinge, connecting all this deep inner work to our actual everyday lives.
And that's the whole point of that question. All the philosophy, all the discipline, all the emotional work, it's not just for you. It's designed to create something incredibly simple and positive, the ability to actually show up for other people and have something good to give.
So let's put it all together. What's the final synthesis from this Day 84 notebook? It's this. Yeah, suffering is real, but your real power is in how you choose to respond. Staying open, like Mozart, makes you bigger, not weaker. Real freedom comes from mastering a structure. And above all, time isn't found, it is made for the people who matter.
Honestly, if there's one single idea to take away from this entire thing, it's this. This is the core thesis. The quality of what you give to the world is a direct reflection of the quality of the work you've done on yourself, period. And so we end with this final challenge. It's not just about thinking differently. It's about feeling differently. After all the hard work, the goal is this kind of wild, authentic freedom. So the final question is really for all of us. What would that actually look like in our own lives?